Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you some of the Age of Mythology Extended Edition settings, hotkeys, and how to install mods and which mods I use. So hopefully this will be helpful towards newer players who are still learning about the game. So first I'll just go over the settings. Um, so first, well, screen size, just set it to whatever resolution you use. And for optimal performance, you want to turn all of these off, including VSync. I personally use VSync just because it just makes it so my fans aren't running at full blast the entire time, but it will make your game more laggy and stuttery. So I'd recommend to turn it off if you want best performance. And then shaders or shadow, I have off. You can always turn these on if you really like them, but I personally just like the simplistic look with everything off. Then sound, all you can really do is change the volume of things, or you can turn them off. I personally play without music, but if you like it, you can keep it on. Audio taunts, well, those are just useful for people like using them. But now to actually get into gameplay options, which will help you in game. Well, first of all, you want to be recording your games so you can look back at them, so you can find out what mistakes you did that you probably didn't realize you made. The files are just text files. They're very small, so it's not really a concern like they're taking all your space or something. One-click garrison. I used to use this. It's quite useful. Basically means that if you have a unit, you can just right-click on a building to garrison inside of it. You don't have to use a hotkey or click on the garrison button. But personally, I've now moved to using the ungarrison and the garrison hotkey, so I personally don't use it. So it's personal preference. Play in a window. Usually it's better. You can switch between different windows faster. So it's better to have it on unless there's some problem with your setup. IME, this doesn't do anything. Oh, honestly, I don't know what it does. Seems to be for other languages or something. But I only use English, so it doesn't matter. Full roll over help is for when you hover over a unit or a building, then you'll get that box that sort of describes what they do. So you want to have those on if you're, yeah, you'll probably want to have them on unless you're like me and basically know all the stats of everything in the game. But yeah, I'll just have it on. I still have it on just because I'm used to having it on. Unlock camera. This is for zooming out further than you usually can. It's like you'll be so far zoomed out that it can be difficult to micro. So most players play without it. Yeah. Lock mouse to window. Well, that's just preference. If you have like multiple screens, they can go between. I'm just on a laptop, and so it doesn't matter for me. Flash HP on damage. This is very useful. If units get hit and are damaged, then it will flash their HP for a few seconds. And it's very helpful for seeing which units are low on the field. Either your units, which you might want to back out of the fight because you can see that enemies are attacking them, or to target down enemy weak units, which you can kill fast. And yeah, just very useful. Show idle military banner. This is very useful for you can shift click on the banner and you'll select all your idle military units on the entire map, and then you can bring them to your base or something. It's just easy, so you don't have to like try and find them all around the map if you somehow lost them. Show build status messages. This is, it doesn't really matter. I personally have them on. It'll just show like villager created, armory built, or constructed, or something like that. Yeah, that's, I honestly don't read them, but I just have them on anyway. So, language filter. Well, that's just, will just filter language that other people type at you. Yeah. Easy military drag select. This can be useful, but also quite annoying in different circumstances. Most people just have it off. Yeah. Friend or foe colors. You probably want to turn these off because it's very useful to see the colors of players in the game. Especially, like, because if you see a red dot on your minimap, like that's an enemy, and if you have friend or foe colors, you wouldn't know like which player that is that they're sending those units. So if it's the Loki player, then they're probably sending Hersers. If they're a Poseidon player, then those probably are Hippicon. And being able to just look at your minimap and just know exactly what's there is useful. And friend or foe colors would make that like difficult. You wouldn't know. You'd have to actually go to that location to see those units. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, just turn those off. Allow camera rotation. This can be slightly useful. Like you'll rarely use it, but it can just be useful sort of to manage villagers around trees and just get a new angle that might help you in some way. It's very rare that you'll ever use it, but yeah. Default unit stance, have that on aggressive. Aggressive means attack anything that's in their line of sight. Defensive, they'll only attack if they're attacked first. Stand ground, they won't move until well, they just won't move unless you tell them to move. So aggressive is just the best to have. Scroll speed, this just means how fast the screen moves, or your view changes, like when you move your mouse to the side of the screens. I put on max, so I have I'll scroll the fastest. HUD opacity, just keep that maxed unless you like somehow like your HUD being see-through. I don't know why. But yeah, just turn that off and like up. We'll select your language, and multiplayer search, just have it on quickly so you can find matches as soon as possible. But yeah, okay, so that's all the settings. Now on to hotkeys. So one thing that I've changed is the reset camera rotation. I think it's Alt Shift Home by default. I don't know what the home key is. So I've just put Shift Alt C, just to sort of match. Yeah, you just sort of have to memorize whatever you set it as. And then I didn't change anything here or here. I've changed the eject garrison units to D. That's just what I'm used to from StarCraft. And then the garrison hotkey is actually Alt, even though it doesn't show anything. It will be Alt. So yeah, and then I changed the toggle auto queue to Tab. I think there is no default hotkey for this, so you probably want to set this. I have it set to Tab, and I'll go over that why later. The find keys, I have idle villager on space, and I have the find town center on 4. This is H by default. This is the find idle villagers period by default. I just have it on 4 just because that's what I'm used to from StarCraft, having all my bases on 4. Yeah, so just personal preference really. And then usually I'd like to have stuff on the left side of the keyboard, so that's sort of generally what I'm doing. All the find building hotkeys I just have as the default hotkey, except for the find tower, which I have on Control Y here. Because I think the default is Control P, and that's like impossible to reach unless you use the right control. So yeah, I've changed that to Control Y so it's actually reachable. very usable. Shared building construction. I've same thing with the tower. I've changed it to Y instead of P. And all the building stuff is all the same as the default because you can't really assign different, like, yeah, you can't really change, like, because you have to have a building per key. You can't, like, have multiple buildings on one key. So I just keep it as the default. Yeah, all these are the same. For the transformed gate, I have it on W, since my wall hotkey is also W. It just makes it easy to remember. So for all my units, I have them sort of as a grid on the Q, W, E, R, T, sometimes Y, if that's really necessary, on the order that they show up on the building. So I'll show this later, but you can see my villager is Q, and for Greek, then on my first tier is W, my second here is E, R, and T, and so on. Physician I have G, but that's, I never really trained that, so. And then same for everything else. Let's see, Q, well, W, E, R, W, Q. Well, this is for the market, which then I have Q. And so I've done that for every single thing. Except for myth units. Myth units, since they change depending on which age you are in, they're also like on a different spot of the actual interface. So you either have to memorize those or just click on the icon in the left. So you can see QWE for all of these different things. QWERT, Y. Some of these are a bit strange because the Petropolis shows earlier than the Helipolis in the actual HUD, but it doesn't, like, it's not in order here in the hotkey list, so you do need to, like, know that. So yeah, same theme throughout. On the temples, I have like the hero usually on Q. So here the priest is Q for my Egyptian temples. For the Greek temple, I have my most important unit as my centaur, like, which is on Q, because that's the only myth unit that I really can regularly create. For Norse, it's my Herser. For Atlantean, I put it on Prometheans, since I don't really make oracles. Just have it on Prometheans. And then for Chinese, it's the monk. Yeah. Oh yeah. The reason why I have the auto queue on tab is because, as I've described, I have all the units on the QWERT or whatever, and then combined with the tab, it's like all just on this left side and very easy to reach. So that's why my auto queue is on tab. Yeah. So now I'll go over how to download mods from the Steam. So first thing, you want to go to the game in your library, Sage Mythology, and then there's a workshop tab on this, right here. This will take you to the community workshop, and here you can go to any mod you find interesting, like Japanese mod or whatever. So one mod that I sort of recommend is the Ibert UI, like the tooltips. This is a very useful mod. It shows you the exact sort of bonuses that each upgrade gives, or it just gives the exact numbers of everything in the game. But let's say you want a new mod, so for example, improved in-game UI by Noted. Then you scroll down to subscribe, just click it, and now will be added to your account, I guess. And then when you restart the game, let's close and reopen Age of Mythology. Now you'll get this screen. You'll just want to restart the game. And now that mod will be in your list. So improved in-game UI was the one I just downloaded. And I don't really want it, so I'm going to remove it, disable or enable, and unsubscribe from it. I think all of these are relatively self-explanatory, but I'll show some of the mods I have. So well, that was not that important. But Ippert's complete UI, I'll show you what that looks like later. Ippert's enhanced tooltips, which I just showed. And then I also have skip splash screens till the dragon, so that way I don't get them every time I open the game. And then I have some other like lighting mods and stuff which I used, main menu stuff. But that's all like personal stuff which I just disabled. I can enable them whenever I want, just restart the game, or I'll reload assets. So once you're done, reload assets, it'll restart the game. And now you have all your mods and whatever changes you made saved. So I'll just go into the game, show some of the things that I was talking about. I'll just use Odin, sure. So now I will select my town center with 4, which I've set. Also have space for my idle villager, and well, just regular hotkeys. And my gather, like to train a villager, is Q, and then I press tab, which will activate the auto queue. So, and my hand's just been on the 4 Q tab, like the left side of the keyboard, the entire time. Some hotkeys might not work once you've changed them, and you might need to restart your game, stuff like that. Like there's some just random issues with hotkeys that you might run into. But yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys with something. Understanding the settings, what they do. Rotate your screen, then reset it, Control or Shift Alt C, stuff like that. Yeah, hopefully this helped, and thank you for watching. Oh.